It's Perp back with another video, and I just got done watching Don't Come Home. This is a brand new limited series on Netflix. Man, perfect time for this to drop on Halloween, even though I wish this dropped earlier this month, but this is still worth checking out. It's a mystery, there's horror elements. Think of Haunting of Hill House meets The Others, meets Sixth Sense, meets Dark. A little bit of all of that mixed into one series. It's about 6 episodes long. Each episode is around 40-something minutes. So it's a perfect binge for the spooky season, but also post Halloween if you want to check this out on the weekend or whenever you end up checking this out. I highly recommend it. I think this is definitely worth a watch. It's an emotional mindfuck. But with all that being said, if you haven't seen this, I will be talking about spoilers, so definitely come back and let me know your thoughts of this if you get around to checking this out. So this series begins with we get introduced to our main characters, Min and Valri. Valri is the mother, Min is the daughter, and Min is having this like supernatural, what it seems to be a supernatural thing happening where her bed is levitating from the floor and she sees this creepy, disturbing figure that looks like a ghost out of Haunting of Hill House. And then it cuts to before they even get to the house, and they kind of pretty much catch us up on how they even got to the house. So Valri is running away from her abusive husband, taking her daughter Min with her, and this is where things get really interesting because they're moving into her mom's old house, and the aesthetic just really reminds me of Haunting of Hill House. The first episode gives you that haunted house kind of vibe, very creepy off the rip. Like, Min keeps seeing this ghost or this spirit or this entity with red glowing eyes. Very fucking creepy. I was like, yo, what is going on here? And on the flip side, Valri starts to see this little child running around that looks somewhat like her daughter, but her face is covered with a mask. And this is where things get really crazy, as by the end of the first episode, we kind of see what happens during the whole encounter in the beginning of the episode. And somehow Min gets sucked into this closet and she disappears. Episode 2 feels more of like a mystery, and we get introduced to Inspector Fa. She is pretty much the one that really starts to put the pieces together, and I really like her character as a whole, because not only is she a high-ranking officer, she's also pregnant. She's also dealing with her own family stuff. You know, the superintendent, her higher up, is the baby daddy, which is very problematic in the workspace, especially at that capacity. She has to kind of go through this whole stuff by herself. And we also learn a lot more about her character as the series progresses, that there's parallels between her and Valri, and her father was also abusive, so she can kind of tell off the rip when she meets her that something's going on, and she tries to do her best to help her find her daughter. But this case just gets weirder and weirder as it continues. Next thing you know, Valri is the next one to disappear, and then this is where things get really complex as we go back in time by the time we get to episode 4, and we learn more about Valree's mother and how back in 92 she worked a lot, didn't really have time to spend with her own daughter, which led to them kind of have the whole family having this back and forth with her husband, leading to Valree's death, which then kind of opens the door like, what the hell went on here? And the stuff that her mom was working on, this is where the sci-fi stuff starts to kind of kick in, and this whole entire series kind of flips, where now with the death of her daughter, there's like these wormholes that are kind of opened, and she thinks to herself, maybe I can bring her back some way. And this is where Min ends up back in 92, just really confused. She doesn't know where her mom is. All of a sudden now Valree's mother gets pretty much like a second chance with this child, not knowing that this is going to end up causing like some type of paradox or time loop, becomes really attached to the kid, makes it her own. And now this is where things get really crazy in present day, as Inspector Fa starts to put the pieces together, and she realizes that, holy shit, I've been pretty much talking to a ghost, because what gets revealed later on in this case, the woman that ends up dying in this case back in 92 was actually Min, but it's an older version of Min that took up Valree's name. And it just was a huge mind fuck from start to finish. I thought it was incredible, very emotional. It's really sad, and there's also like kind of this messaging of, you know, power, whether it be like a man that's in power and how they abuse that power for towards people that are weaker than them. You had this really sad, tragic family story with Valree and just Min, and just that whole family tree is all fucked up. What's even sadder is seeing how Min's whole life kind of plays out up until this point, to where her mom at that time realized she made a mistake, and this kind of drove her kind of mad, which led her to say to Min, do not go home, which makes me think like this is a whole big ass time loop almost. Very fascinating. Overall, really dope watch. I'm so curious to hear other people's thoughts if they get around to checking this out, because I don't think Netflix is going to really promote this very heavily. But man, dope performances all the way around. Has really cool horror elements, really cool sci-fi elements. The mystery is really cool. It just keeps you guessing. I really enjoyed this, but this is just my thoughts on this series. Definitely let me know how you guys feel about it if you get around to checking it out. Till next time, I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.